My mother was walking home from school one day and she was raped by 4 men. One of those men is my father. You write that on a painting and someone's sort of coming up looking at this beautiful painting, engaged, what is it? And they read that and all of a sudden their stomach drops and they have the lump in their throat. What have I just witnessed here? My name is Heather Haynes and I'm an artist. In 2008, I had been asked to donate paintings to 3 separate charities that were based out of Kingston but doing work in East Africa. So Africa started becoming part of my imagination. In 2011, I went to the Congo, and it was during this trip that I met a girl who had been walking for 5 days from a village, who her arm had been burnt right from her upper arm right to her hand. Her fingers were burnt crisp. And she had walked 5 days in pain like that. So I sat there sort of in shock. What am I doing here? Why? It was after that experience that I realized that I had to do something bigger or something to share these stories with people in the rest of the world. I had an interview set up with a Rwandan woman to get her story because I was now working on a series of works of women of East Africa and Congo. But there was this man sitting there who was using the free internet, started corresponding and sharing my pictures of my paintings and his stories of the children he was looking after. And we exchanged emails, and I had no idea what that meant. You know, looking back on it, it's incredible why that moment happened for us. I think it had a lot to do with the girl I met the day before, and how I sincerely gave myself over to be used by the universe. But he started educating me on what's happening in the Congo, to the women, to the children, to the people, and the atrocities that are happening. You know, I witnessed it firsthand, and I hear the stories firsthand. And once you do, you can't turn away from something like that. This man Kazungu, over the year of emailing back and forth with him, I had decided I was going to help him raise money to build a home for 16 children who he was looking after. 1 year to the date I met him, January 10th, they moved into that house, and it's become a significant date for us. But the 16 children had turned to 80 children. And so now I had 80 children I had to find a way to support. The Wall of Courage consists of 80 paintings, one for every child that was living in the orphanage after the first year that I met Kazungu and started this project in the Congo to provide for these orphan children. To represent a child on each canvas meant that they were being seen and their story was being heard. The hardest part for me when creating the paintings, and where I really felt like I was stepping into my courage, was when I wrote the stories of each child on the canvas, because I knew at that moment, and really it was hard for me, like it was guttural and I had tears because I knew I was stepping into something that I knew I had to, but I wasn't comfortable doing. When I think about that girl, and I think about if I hadn't have sat there with her and really allowed her to affect me, you know, if I hadn't put up a wall, if I had to put up a wall like we do, none of this would have happened. Sorry. Can't tell a story without it. It's real. It's called the Wall of Courage because there's an outline of hope there. Somehow, when you witness it, it's guttural, it's uncomfortable, but you feel hope. And I want people to feel all of those things because that's exactly how I feel when I'm there.